Eleanor never thought much about safety until the night she slipped in her own hallway. One second, she was walking toward the kitchen, and the next she was on the floor, heart racing, wondering if she could get up. That was the moment it hit her. Living well in old age isn't just about getting by. It's about making sure you're safe, happy, and thriving. The good news? It only takes a few smart changes to transform life for the better. Today we're diving into 12 must-haves that every senior should consider, starting with the very place that should feel safest of all, your home. 1. A home set up for safety and comfort. Eleanor used to think of her home as her haven, a place where every corner held a memory. Her favorite armchair by the window, the kitchen table where years of family dinners unfolded, the hallway lined with photos of her grandkids. But after her fall, she started seeing things differently. The rug in the hallway that once made the place feel cozy, now it looked like a hazard. The dim lighting in the bathroom, a recipe for disaster. She wasn't alone in this realization. Falls are the leading cause of injury among seniors, and most of them happen right at home. But here's the good news: small changes make a huge difference. Eleanor started with lighting, simple, inexpensive, but life-changing. She added motion sensor night lights in the hallway, and brighter bulbs in the bathroom and kitchen. No more fumbling in the dark. Then came the trip hazards. Goodbye to loose rugs and wobbly furniture. A handyman helped install grab bars in the bathroom, and she even swapped out her old slippers for non-slip ones. Finally, her furniture layout. She took a fresh look at her space. Were walkways clear? Could she reach the things she used most without stretching or climbing? By the time she was done, her home felt not just safer but more comfortable. The best part? She didn't have to sacrifice warmth and personality. Her home was still hers, just smarter, safer, and ready for many more years of happy living. 2. An emergency plan that gives you peace of mind. Eleanor always prided herself on being independent. She had raised kids, ran a household, and handled life's challenges head-on. But as she lay on the floor after her fall, one thought chilled her more than the hardwood beneath her. What if I couldn't get up? That was the moment she decided. She needed an emergency plan, not because she was weak, but because she was smart. She started with a medical alert system. At first, she resisted the idea. Those are for old people, she thought. But when she found sleek, discreet options that didn't scream emergency device, she reconsidered. One simple button could connect her to help within seconds. No scrambling for a phone, no shouting into the void, just instant peace of mind. Next, her emergency contacts. She made sure a trusted neighbor had a spare key, and she added emergency numbers to her phone's speed dial. A quick access list on the fridge ensured visitors and caregivers knew who to call. Then she thought about escape routes, fire, power outages, natural disasters, things she hadn't planned for before. She mapped out a plan for each, ensuring she had essentials like a flashlight, an emergency bag, and an easy-to-reach spot. Having these safeguards in place wasn't about dwelling on worst-case scenarios. It was about taking control, feeling prepared, and knowing she'd never be left helpless. 3. Reliable transportation options. There was a time when Eleanor would hop in her car without a second thought. Driving gave her freedom. Grocery trips, lunch dates, spontaneous outings. But lately things have changed. Night driving felt more stressful, and highways more intimidating. One day, after missing a turn and feeling rattled, she asked herself, "Do I feel safe behind the wheel?" She wasn't alone. Many seniors face this question, and the answer isn't always easy. But here's the key. Giving up the driver's seat doesn't mean giving up independence. Eleanor started by exploring her options. She learned about rideshare services like Uber and Lyft, which to her surprise were easy to use and often more affordable than keeping a car. A friend introduced her to local senior transportation services, which offered rides to grocery stores, medical appointments, and even social outings. She also discovered community shuttle programs, safe, reliable, and filled with friendly faces. At first, it felt strange not driving herself, but then, something unexpected happened. she started enjoying the change. No more stressing over traffic or parking. No more night driving worries. She could simply sit back and relax. The best part? Her social life flourished. With more options at her fingertips, she was going out more, meeting friends, and staying engaged. She didn't just feel mobile, she felt free. The truth is, having reliable transportation isn't just about getting places, it's about staying connected to life itself. Whether it's driving smart, using rideshares, or exploring local options, having a plan ensures that mobility never has to be a question mark. 4. A strong support network. Eleanor had always been independent, fiercely so. She prided herself on handling things alone, managing bills, making repairs, taking care of herself. But after her fall, something shifted. She began to see independence not as doing everything alone, but as knowing when to lean on others. At first, she hesitated to ask for help. Who would she call? Would she be a burden? The thought made her stomach twist. But one afternoon, after an exhausting grocery run that left her sore for days, she took a deep breath and did something she hadn't done in years. She called her neighbor, Joyce. "Hey, do you want to do a grocery run together this week?" Eleanor asked, forcing herself to sound casual. Joyce, to her surprise, was thrilled. "Oh, I'd love that. Honestly, I was thinking about asking you the same thing." That one call changed everything. They started shopping together every week, turning errands into something fun, chatting, laughing, and even treating themselves to coffee afterward. And that's when it hit Eleanor. Building a support network isn't about asking for favors, it's about creating connections. It's about having people in your corner, ready to lift each other. So she kept going. She reached out to an old friend she'd lost touch with. She got to know her neighbor's daughter, who offered to help with small house repairs. She even joined a local community group for seniors, where she met people who understood exactly what she was going through. The lesson: you don't have to do this alone. Your support network can be anyone, a sibling, a lifelong friend, a neighbor, or even an online community. The important thing is knowing that when you need a hand, there's one reaching back. 5. Financial security and smart planning. Eleanor had always been careful with money. She clipped coupons, saved where she could, and made sure her bills were paid on time. But as she settled into this new chapter of life, she started to wonder, was she truly financially secure? She'd heard the horror stories: people running out of savings, unexpected medical expenses wiping out retirement funds, seniors struggling to make ends meet, and she didn't want to become one of them. So she decided to get clear on her finances. First, she made a simple budget. Nothing fancy, just a clear breakdown of her income, expenses, and savings. She spotted things she could adjust: subscription services she no longer used, memberships she didn't need, and small daily expenses that added up. Cutting back on those alone made her feel like she had an instant raise. Then she tackled something she'd been avoiding: long-term planning. She reached out to a financial advisor, someone who specialized in retirement planning. Together they reviewed her investments, insurance, and estate plan. It wasn't the most exciting conversation, but by the end of it she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: relief. And here's something she never expected. Financial security isn't just about numbers, it's about peace of mind. It's about knowing you can handle life's surprises without fear. Eleanor realized that staying financially smart didn't mean giving up on joy. It meant spending wisely on what truly mattered: a dinner out with friends, a weekend getaway, a class she'd always wanted to take. Because what's the point of saving if you never get to enjoy it? So if you haven't looked at your finances in a while, now's the time. Even small adjustments can make a huge difference. 6. A daily routine that brings purpose. Eleanor's days used to have structure. Mornings were for getting the kids ready for school. Afternoons were filled with work, errands, and to-do lists. Evenings meant cooking dinner, catching up with her husband, and finally settling in with a book. But now, the days stretched endlessly before her. No meetings, no schedules, no real reason to get up at a certain time. At first, it felt like freedom, but slowly, it started to feel like nothing. One morning, she woke up late, wandered around the house, turned on the TV, and suddenly realized it was 3 p.m., and she hadn't even changed out of her pajamas. That's when she decided she needed a routine. Not a strict schedule, but a rhythm, something that made her excited to wake up in the morning. And just like that, the empty spaces in her day were filled with joy. A routine doesn't have to be rigid. It's about building small intentional habits that make each day feel meaningful. Maybe for you, it's writing, volunteering, trying a new recipe, or simply taking a few moments each day to practice gratitude. Whatever it is, let it anchor your days, give you something to look forward to, and remind you that life is still full of purpose. 7. Meaningful hobbies and creative outlets. Eleanor had spent decades taking care of others, her children, her husband, and even her friends. But now, with more free time than she knew what to do with, a strange question kept creeping into her mind. What do I do for myself? At first, the answer didn't come easily. She scrolled through hobby lists online: knitting, puzzles, calligraphy, pottery. Some looked fun, but none made her heart race. Then, one afternoon, she found an old dusty box in her attic. Inside, a collection of unfinished paintings. She had loved painting once. As a young woman, she'd spend hours at the easel, lost in color and creativity. But life got busy, and somehow, years passed without her picking up a brush. Could she start again? The first stroke felt unfamiliar and hesitant. The second one, smoother. By the time she finished her first painting in years, she felt something she hadn't in a long time: excitement. Hobbies aren't just ways to pass the time, they give life texture, passion, and purpose. Whether it's painting, playing an instrument, learning a new language, or even something as simple as baking new recipes, hobbies keep the mind engaged, sharp, and joyful. And the best part? There's no wrong way to do them. No pressure to be perfect. No deadlines, just the simple joy of doing something for yourself. If you haven't explored a hobby in a while, now's the time. Think back, what once brought you joy? What's something new you've always wanted to try? Because happiness isn't just about safety and routine, it's about creating, learning, and keeping that spark alive. 8. Staying physically active for strength and energy. Eleanor used to joke that the only exercise she got was walking from the couch to the fridge. But lately she wasn't laughing. Her joints ached more. She felt stiff getting out of bed. Even simple tasks, standing too long while cooking, reaching for something on the top shelf, felt harder than before. She knew she needed to move more, but exercise sounded exhausting. Images of gyms, heavy weights, and complex routines filled her mind. That wasn't her style. Then, she stumbled upon something different: chair yoga, gentle, simple, and completely doable from her living room. She started with just 10 minutes a day, stretching, moving, feeling her body wake up again. Within a week, she noticed a difference. That's when she realized that exercise doesn't have to mean running marathons. It can be a morning stretch, a daily walk, gardening, or dancing to your favorite song in the kitchen. It's not about pushing your limits. It's about keeping your body mobile, strong, and pain-free. She made it a habit: a short walk after breakfast, light stretching in the afternoon, and even some balance exercises while watching TV. And something incredible happened. She felt more energized, more capable, more in control of her own body. Here's the truth: staying active isn't about looking younger. It's about feeling better, moving easier, and keeping your independence. Even 10 minutes a day can make a difference. Start small, find a movement you enjoy, and make it part of your life. Because strength doesn't fade with age, it grows with every step you take. 9. A positive mindset and mental wellness practices. Eleanor had always considered herself an optimist, but lately, she caught herself feeling a little stuck. The same routines, the same thoughts, the same memories playing on a loop. It wasn't sadness, exactly. More like a quiet restlessness. One afternoon, she overheard a woman at the cafe say, "Your mindset shapes your reality." That phrase lingered. Could it be that simple? She decided to experiment. The first step is gratitude. Every morning before getting out of bed, she wrote down 3 things she was grateful for. Some days it was big things: her health, her family, her home. Other days it was as simple as the sun is shining, or my coffee tastes good, and slowly she noticed a shift. Then she tried mindfulness. Instead of letting her thoughts drift to regrets or worries, she started practicing being present, feeling the warmth of her teacup in her hands, truly listening when a friend spoke, appreciating the little details of her day. It made life feel richer. And finally, she made a powerful decision to reframe her thoughts. Instead of saying, "I'm getting older and everything is harder," she started thinking, "I'm getting older, and I've never been wiser, more experienced, or more in control of my happiness." The mind is powerful. It can hold you back or set you free. Choosing a positive mindset doesn't mean ignoring challenges. It means deciding to see possibilities instead of limits. So if you're feeling stuck, start small. Write a gratitude list, take a deep breath, and reframe a negative thought. Because happiness isn't just about what happens to you, it's about how you choose to see it. 10. A sense of purpose and contribution. Eleanor never thought she'd miss the busy days of raising a family, but as she sat in her quiet living room one afternoon, she realized something felt off. It wasn't loneliness exactly. It was a lack of purpose, that feeling of being needed, of making a difference, of waking up with a reason to step into the day. She wasn't alone in this. Many seniors feel the same way after retirement, or once their children are grown. Without a job to go to or daily obligations pulling them in 100 directions, life can feel directionless. But here's the secret: purpose doesn't disappear with age, it just changes shape. Eleanor decided to give back. She started volunteering at a local library, reading stories to children on Saturday mornings. At first, she was nervous. Would they even care about what an old lady had to say? But the first time a little girl grabbed her hand and said, "Can you read one more?" she felt something shift inside her. She mattered. The purpose isn't about working a full-time job or making grand achievements. It's about feeling like you're contributing to the world in a way that feels meaningful to you. Maybe that means mentoring young people, helping at a food pantry, fostering animals, or simply checking in on a friend who lives alone. The key? Finding something that makes you feel alive. Purpose isn't just for the young. It's the fuel that keeps us all moving forward. 11. Regular health checkups and preventive care. For years, Eleanor had a "don't fix what isn't broken" attitude about her health. If she felt fine, she figured there was no reason to see the doctor. But then, a friend of hers, who seemed perfectly healthy, was diagnosed with a major health issue during a routine checkup. The scary part? She had no symptoms. That was the wake-up call Eleanor needed. Preventive care isn't about fixing problems, it's about catching them before they start. So she booked a full health screening. It was nerve-wracking, but knowing where she stood gave her peace of mind. She updated her vaccines, checked her vision, monitored her blood pressure, and made a plan to stay on top of her health. The truth is, small issues can become big ones if left unchecked. That's why keeping up with regular screenings, like mammograms, bone density tests, and heart checkups, can add years of healthy, active living. And here's something she never expected: taking charge of her health made her feel stronger. Instead of fearing the what-ifs, she felt in control. She made adjustments: better nutrition, more hydration, proper sleep, and noticed her energy levels improved. Your health is your greatest asset, and staying ahead of it doesn't just keep you alive, it keeps you thriving. If it's been a while since your last checkup, consider this your friendly nudge. It's time to make that call. 12. A living space that feels like home. Eleanor had spent so much time making her home safe that she forgot about something just as important. Does it still feel like home? At first she ignored it, but one day, as she sat in her living room, she realized the space felt impersonal. Who knew aging, like fine wine, required a little planning, a little movement, and maybe a few grab bars? But look at you now, setting up a life that's safe, happy, and totally thriving. So tell me, which of these are you tackling first? Drop a comment, and let's keep the conversation going.